Now that we've worked on the color and tone in this photograph and the eyes, let's go ahead and work on the whites of the eyes. So we'll zoom in a little bit. One of the things I want you to take note of is take a look at how the eyes work. It's nice and bright here, but then it gets darker and darker as it approaches the corners. One of the problems that most people have is when they retouch eyes, they make all of this the same level of brightness. It's all bright white. That just doesn't work, right? So what we need to do is kind of honor that. We want to zoom way into this area of the photograph. Now, one of the things I'm seeing here is a little vein, so I want to remove that. So I'll go ahead and click on a new layer. I'll name this whites. Next, I'll grab the clone stamp tool by pressing the S key, 100% opacity and flow, sample all layers. This is going to be pretty simple, right? But all I'm going to try and do is just clone this out. And I'm going to hold down the Option key on a Mac, Alt key on a PC, and click in different areas just to sample some different areas. Once I do that, I can then go to the healing brush because it's now further away from the edge of the eye and start to bring in some healing and just remove some of these little blemishes. And I want to do this on a separate layer. And the reason I want to do this on a separate layer is because it is so easy to go over the top when you're working on eyes like this. It's so easy to create a photograph where the people notice the whites of the eyes, but they're not even noticing the person, right? It's as if the retouching becomes more important than the subject matter, and it becomes more important in a way that's distracting in the sense that, wow, there's something wrong. What's wrong? I can't quite identify it. We've all seen photos like that when we're buying groceries at the grocery store, right? All right, well, let's go ahead and just remove all of these little teeny blemishes, and the healing brush works incredibly well. Go back to the clone stamp tool a bit. I'm going to go to a blend mode of light and lower my opacity and just try to deal with this area here. It's a little bit too dark for me. So I'm going to go ahead and try to bring in a little bit of lightness there. That's too much, so I'll press 3 on the keyboard, try 30% opacity. That's okay. It's not amazing. Now let's go back and try to heal that. Sometimes what happens is when you use these two tools together, you can really come up with the best result. It's the dynamic duo. The two tools work really well together. It's not one versus the other, but rather both of them together. All right, well, let's take a look at how this looks. Here's our before and then after. Very nice. Pretty simple, clean. And again, you want to be zoomed in really close when you're doing that. But then, of course, also zoom out so you can see how it looks in that context. All right, great. What about this side of the eye? Well, there are a couple of different things we can do, and let me show you how we're going to tackle that one. We're going to go ahead and click on the adjustment layer icon and choose hue saturation. We're going to go into the reds, and I'm going to click on the target adjustment tool and click and drag to remove those reds. Now, currently, I've removed too much of that. I'm going to have that down like that, and then I'm going to mask it into a particular area. So let's invert this mask, go to the mask panel and choose invert. Then we're going to grab our brush tool, and we're going to paint with white here. I paint with white at about 80% opacity. So I press 8 on the keyboard. I'm at 80%. I'm just going to start to bring this red out. And as I do that, one of the things that I'm noticing is that it looks a little gray, right? When we remove color, we actually can make something look lifeless. So it doesn't look better in this sense. Although it's looking like we can start to use that. Now let's look at our before and after. Here's before, here's after. Again, it's a little bit too lifeless. Well, there are a couple of reasons why. One is I went too far with it, and 2, I painted it too far into the corner. So let's go ahead and paint with black now to conceal. What we're going to do is not that high of a black. We'll go ahead and do maybe somewhere in the 30s. Just bring a little bit back into this area here. We need a little bit of color there, right? And then hit the X key and then kind of paint that out again, a little bit of give and take, and then lower your opacity. So here's without that adjustment, then here's with it. We just want to try to diminish the bright reds there, not remove them altogether. We want to make the eye look realistic, and so we want to be careful to honor some of the natural aspects of the eye so it doesn't look unrealistic. All right, well, let's take a look at the before and after there. Here's our before and then our after. Very simple improvements. Yet keep in mind, when you're working on eyes, it's all about those simple, subtle adjustments. You want to zoom way in, use your tools, and then zoom out. And hopefully, when you zoom out, look at your before and after and say, does that still look natural? And one of the things that I'm noticing with this eye is even here with this little retouch doesn't look quite natural. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring back in the wrinkle just a bit there. So just an illusion to that. So there we have it, just taken back a bit rather than taken all the way out. And it looks a little bit more realistic. Yeah, because this is a real beauty shot and it's a little bit more of a abstract close-up shot, I'm going to take it all the way out because I think that looks pretty good as well. All right, well, so far so good. We have more ground to cover, and we'll do that in the next movie.